class. Well done on yesterday's home learning. I know that some of you tried using the e-learning platform and you've done really, really well. I'm still learning about it too, so hopefully I'll get better at using it as the week goes on as well. Today we're going to read a little bit of chapter 16 in Charlotte's Web. Chapter 16, Off to the Fair. The night before the county fair, everybody went to bed early. Fern and Avery were in bed by 8. Avery lay dreaming that the Ferris wheel had stopped and that he was in the top car. Fern lay dreaming that she was getting sick in the swings. Lurvy was in bed by 8:30. He lay dreaming that he was throwing baseballs at a cloth cat and winning a genuine blanket. Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman were in bed by 9. Mrs. Zuckerman lay dreaming about a deep freeze unit, and Mr. Zuckerman lay dreaming about Wilbur. He dreamt that Wilbur had grown until he was 116 feet long and 92 feet high, and that he had won all the prizes at the fair and was covered in blue ribbons and even had a blue ribbon tied to the end of his tail. So he was dreaming that he was absolutely enormous. Down in the barn cellar, the animals too went to sleep all early except for Charlotte. Tomorrow would be fair day. Every creature planned to get up early to see Wilbur off on his great adventure. When morning came, everybody got up at daylight. The day was hot. Up the road, Arabel's house, Fern lugged a pail of hot water to her room and took a sponge bath. And then she put on her prettiest dress because she knew she would see boys at the fair. Mrs. Arabel scrubbed the back of Avery's neck and wet his hair and parted it and brushed it down hard until it stuck to the top of his head. All but 6 hairs that stood up straight. Avery put on clean underwear, clean blue jeans and a clean jersey. Mr. Arabel dressed, ate breakfast, and then went out and polished his truck. He had offered to drive everybody to the fair, including Wilbur. Bright and early, Lurvy put clean straw in Wilbur's crate and lifted it into the pig pen. The crate was green. In gold letters it said, Zuckerman's famous pig. Charlotte had her web looking fine for the occasion. Wilbur ate his breakfast slowly. He tried to look radiant without getting any food in his ears. In the kitchen, Mrs. Zuckerman suddenly made an announcement. Homer, she said to her husband, I am going to give that pig a buttermilk bath. A what? Said Mr. Zuckerman. A buttermilk bath. My grandmother used to bathe her pig with buttermilk when it got dirty. I just remembered. But Wilbur's not dirty, said Mr. Zuckerman proudly. Oh, he's filthy behind the ears, said Mrs. Zuckerman. Every time Lurvy slops him, the food runs down the ears. Then it dries to form a crust. Ooh. He also has a smudge on one side where he lays in the manure. He lays in clean straw, corrected Mr. Zuckerman. Well, he's dirty and he's going to have a bath. Mr. Zuckerman sat down weakly and ate a donut for breakfast. His wife went to the woodshed, and when she returned, she wore rubber boots and an old raincoat, and she carried a bucket of buttermilk and a small wooden paddle. Edith, you are crazy, mumbled Mr. Zuckerman. But she paid no attention to him. Together they walked to the pig pen. Mrs. Zuckerman wasted no time. She climbed in with Wilbur and she went to work. Dipping her paddle in the buttermilk, she rubbed him all over. The geese gathered around to see the fun, and so did the sheep and the lambs. Even Templeton poked his head out cautiously to watch Wilbur get a buttermilk bath. Charlotte got so interested she lowered herself on a drag line so that she could see better. Wilbur stood still and closed his eyes. He could feel the buttermilk trickling down his sides. He opened his mouth and some buttermilk ran in. It was delicious. He felt radiant and happy. When Mrs. Zuckerman got through and rubbed him dry, he was the cleanest, prettiest pig you ever saw. He was pure white, pink around the ears and snout, and smooth as silk. And that is the end of the page for today. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. See you tomorrow.